Hey, everyone, it's Blockchain Bernie here, episode 378, a day in my life. How does a day of the CEO of Xandeum Labs actually look like? I go through everything and I've been asked by so many people, hey, Bernie, how does your day look like, right? Do you have a morning routine? How often do you interact with people? How often are you working on your own? How can you concentrate? All these type of things. I'll dive into all of that today in this little video. And in the end, I'll reveal to you what keeps me going, right? Why am I doing all that? And how can I sustain this kind of intense effort that it undeniably is, right? So that's your payoff at the end. So keep watching. And yeah, let's dive into it. So I usually get up at about 6:30. I'm not really a natural morning guy. I'm more like a late guy, but I'm nevertheless forcing myself to get up early, especially during these days where we're building that storage layer, right? It's exciting times. And I started doing that maybe December last year, building the storage layer. And we did a lot of stuff before that. We had the other idea with our own L1 and, the fundraising in the beginning and the node sales. And that's all a lot of effort. And then we had advisors on board. So we had to get those advisors and they said, list the token and do the liquid staking, the storage-enabled liquid staking, which is great. And we've done that for most of 2024. But then starting December 2024, we're building that storage layer and we have a big focus on that one. And I'm super happy we have the architecture. That was basically my personal work here, right? Figuring out what we really want to do and why we want to do that. And we came up with that architecture of 30 different releases that we're building in 6 different eras. And I'm super happy that we have that now. And now we're building it, right? And each of these 30 releases is a challenge of its own, right? This is hard. This is hard problems to solve, really integrating a scalable storage layer into blockchain. If it was that easy, people would have done it before, right? Because it's kind of obvious that we need it. And that's a demand for that because blockchain was built to decentralize stuff and to make us less dependent on centralized entities. And we can't in so many respects, right? There is that missing link, which is the scalable storage layer. Building that is really something that's fun to me. And I get up at 6:30. I have my morning routine. I mostly do meditation in the morning. I used to have my Headspace app. I switched to another app called Insight Timer. So if you want more information on that, just let me know down in the comments. By the way, liking this video, subscribing, it's good for you because you're not missing out on any of my new content. And it's also good for you because it earns you points. Go to points.xandeum.network and you can get your points just for liking and commenting and all that kind of stuff. But I'm really interested, of course, in getting your views, right? What do you use for meditation? Or do you think meditation is a great thing? Or have you tried it and then stopped? I haven't met anyone in my life that said, I tried meditating for 3 months or so, and then I figured out it's crap and I just stopped it because I found out it's not good. I haven't met a single person in my life, right? It's once you start it, it is great stuff and it helps me a lot to stay focused, to fend off all the different things that come into my life all day, right? And all potential threats and stuff like that. It really helps me stay focused, and which is awesome, right? I do usually like 5 minutes of Duolingo in the morning, language learning, in my case, Mandarin Chinese for several reasons, and do that like 5 minutes in the morning and then 10 to 15 minutes or so at some point in the evening. That's also part of my daily routine. And then at 7 a.m., I have the so-called dev meeting, right? Not the so-called dev, I have the meeting with the development team. 3 developers plus myself. I'm almost part of the development team, and I really feel like how I love that. If I'm there and solving some development problems and figuring out the architecture, figuring out how other people's software works, right? Because the Solana validator, it's other people's software. It's a highly complex piece of software, and we need to understand how it works, where we can kind of dock on to get tightly integrated into Solana, into the Solana chain. That's highly exciting stuff. And yeah, we're building that with the 3 devs that I have. They are in India and Sri Lanka. They are absolutely awesome. Abi, Isha, and Kaveen. So we meet with them every morning at 7 a.m. We have Verena helping us, managing all the tasks and, editing the tasks as we go through the meeting, checking everyone, hey, what's the status of this task and that task? And that is super helpful, right? So that's great. Sometimes we have Brad in there, sometimes Anthony, but recently, mostly since it's 7 a.m. in the morning, it's the 3 devs plus Verena plus myself. And these meetings, sometimes they go for 15 minutes or so. Those are the smaller ones. If we know everything and we just discussed everything already the day before, and then it's just like executing on it, then these meetings are fast. But oftentimes they take quite a while. And sometimes we work on tough problems together for hours, basically, in those dev calls, and then if we work on tough problems, we'll have meetings in the evening again, right? So it's like around 11 a.m. or so my time here in Vegas. They go to bed around midnight their time, but then they get up again, and then it's like 7 p.m. or so my time. So my evenings are super packed also with meetings, with technical meetings, either with the devs or with Brad if it's about operating all these things, right? And how do the V nodes work with the software that we're building, and how does it work with the P node operators, and is it easy for them, and how does it work with the setup guides and stuff like that. Discussing that with Brad a lot, and but also doing a lot of developer talk in the nights, and yeah, and between that, there is a substantial amount of marketing, right? Even though we're focusing right now on development, and we all agree on that, by the way. So all kind of the management team and everyone that's here, we all agree what is the highest priority for the next 12 months, 18 months or so, and especially for the next 3 to 6 months where we're building our Munich and then our Frankfurt release. The highest priority by far is development and getting the product ready, right? But still, at the same time, we need to get the word out. We need to grow our community. We need to have more people that engage with us. And we're constantly brainstorming, what can we do to grow it? We have Eric also in the marketing team. So we have Sean, Verena, the kind of the core team of the marketing. Then we have Eric working out of Germany, mostly doing the Google Looker Studio, so measuring everything that all our marketing efforts and consolidating them into reports. But Eric's also managing some of our advertising campaigns, and we're just starting a new advertising campaign on X, where Eric is working on. But then Sean, Verena, and I, kind of the core marketing team, that's also working great here. And Sean is new on the team, but I've been knowing him for almost 10 years. I've been knowing Brad for a long time. I've been knowing Verena for a very long time. So it's really nice that we have a team here that has some familiarity with each other and how people tick, right, and what their personality is. Because make no mistake, the main reason why many of startups fail is because just people don't get along anymore, right? And it happens all the time, and you know, everyone knows that, right? And that's the reason divorce rates are what they are, and at some point people just don't get along anymore. But it's the very same thing in business, right? And it can go so fast, and especially when the going gets tough, right? And business is in crisis and stuff like that. And I know that from my past businesses as well. So I'm happy we have this team here now. Everyone's really focused on getting things done and working on this big vision here of adding that storage layer to smart contracts. And so my mornings and my evenings are mostly full with development right now, right? Coordinating with the devs, helping them if they have questions. Hey, Bernie, how should I implement this or that? I'll do the research on what's the best way forward for us, right? To give them the input that they need to build their stuff. And but I'm also developing myself at times, right? It's like certain components that I do. Most of the beginnings of the modifications to the Solana validator was my personal work, and then Abi took over a little bit and did some modifications there as well. And but that really, really resonates with me. Right? I love software development that's close to the machine level, really, really low level systems programming. That's what I've been doing since I was 13 years old. And yeah. So most of the time, by the way, I work from home. My YouTube studio here that you see here is in my home. We do have an office here in Vegas at the WeWork in Summerlin. So Summerlin is kind of a modern part of town, like a business, upscale, businessy type of thing. And we have that office there at a great location and great offices. But, mostly I just work from home here. It's a larger office here where the YouTube studio is in, and Verena is working from this home office here together with me. So we have our desks side by side. She's, coming in the morning. She lives in Vegas, so she's arriving here and working in that home office. And recently with Sean on the team, who is local to Vegas as well, we're meeting up like 1 or 2 times a week at least. It is great to have that local team and meet up in the office there. If we're in the office, most of the time we eat lunch there. Then we have great lunch offerings in the vicinity there of that office. But otherwise, for work from home, we eat lunch at home. I eat my breakfast at about 10 a.m. So I try to do that 16-8 intermittent fasting thing. Not only try to do it, I mostly do that, right? So no eating before 10 and no eating after 6 p.m. And that's, that's nice for me. It works out for me. And I love eating at home. I have all my ingredients that I love. And Heike is she's a good chef, right? And she, by the way, she has learned that, right? So she's really a chef, or was one back in the day. And so that's what I'm doing. Most of the time, it gets really, really late in the nights as well. And, I'm aiming for getting an hour or maybe 2, hopefully. Sometimes I succeed in that around midday, where I work a little bit less. I have my pool here in Vegas, which is nice depending on the time of the year. Taking a swim in there. Do that. But recently it's been tough, right? So it almost feels like I'm back to like 7 days a week, 16-hour days that I used to have when I built NodeStore in the very beginning of the early Xandeum and its predecessor, Bitoku days. It was months and months of literally 16 hours each and every day, 7 days a week. And here sometimes that happens as well. Something's happening with my screen here behind me, but anyway. So, oh, Raina just closed her laptop. That's why. Okay, and yeah, so that's a typical day here, and lots of administration stuff also, and you know, accounting meetings with Emil, and it's a surprising workload in administrative stuff, right? With just moving funds around and making sure that everything's funded, and you know, from this bucket we can pay that, which will become due this, and then and everything. And I keep control over that, right? I keep control over my finances, be it like bank accounts or be it crypto wallets. I also keep control of all the upgrade authorities of all the important smart contracts until we hand it over to the DAO. So, but while we're still building it, or while it's internal tools that we control, I have all these wallets on my own. It's just my way of keeping control of things, right? But it does take some time, right? And it might be different once we really grow, when we're like a larger company and there's a team, and then we have like these 3 out of 5 signature thing for everything, or 5 out of 7. And we already have that with the foundation and the Xandeum Foundation. It's all managed by a 5 out of 7 multi-sig wallet. But yeah, I'm also helping there, getting all these proposals out and getting them approved by 5 out of 7 and stuff like that. It's quite some administrative overhead that I'm mostly doing around midday, early afternoon, things like that. And yeah, it's going like that each and every day. And, you know, I try to get 1 day of low work, and I'm mostly succeeding on that, right? It's tough to have a full day of no work at all, right? And I've heard so many people saying, you know, if you have at least 1 day with like 0 work, it can be so beneficial. It might be, but I haven't succeeded on that during those times where it's really, really tough, right? And it's been like that with building Xandeum. It's that you build something that makes a difference in the world. It is always tough, right? So, but oftentimes I get like 1 day a week where I do like 3-4 hours of work maybe, and otherwise just, you know, go somewhere with my wife and you know, check something out, mostly in kind of the countryside, which is the desert here, right? And there's Lake Mead, and there's the Red Rocks, and there is there is Valley of Fire, and all these type of things here, and there's stuff to explore everywhere. But also we like to go to the Strip, where there's entertainment, and there's so many like concerts or you know, stand-up comedy and people that are known from TV and everything. I went to Bill Maher like a year ago or something. Watch him live, and it's really fun to have the entertainment options here in Las Vegas, and it's fun to see the city develop as one of the fastest growing cities in the U.S. And yeah, we try to do that, you know, one day a week at least. Yeah, but recently with, you know, building the storage layer plus managing all the marketing, because at the same time we need to spread the word, right? And now it's onboarding Sean. He is new, but he is really, really promising. So I love how things are working. You've heard him recently on our X Spaces, so he was really part of it. He will be part of more videos that we're doing. He was already in some of those videos, and he brings great ideas, right? He's an entrepreneur himself, right? He's only in his late 20s, but for a decade, he's been running his own business, his own e-commerce business. So he knows what it means to advertise, to be profitable with advertising, to be present on social media and do it all in a way that it's efficient and stuff like that. I love his entrepreneurial spirit, right? That's really, really great. And he's local, right? So we meet with him often here in Vegas. And I usually go to bed between 10 and 11, I would say. And sometimes it's tough to wind down, right? Because I do then tend to, read the press a little bit, watch some YouTube videos on what's going on in the world and about, investments and stocks and crypto and everything. And sometimes that keeps me up longer than I want to, right? I think we all know that. So that's a typical day in my life. You might ask, like, well, where is workouts or stuff like that? Recently, I'd have to say I tried, but with all this kind of stuff here, what stays is swimming in my pool, right? So I've been doing that in the summer here since I have my pool. 30 minutes of swimming, right? And my Apple Watch tells me that's like 500 move calories, right? I'm not sure if it's true, but Apple Watch is telling me that. If I walk 30 minutes, it's only like 170 or something. But I swim 30 minutes, and the water is relatively cold, right? If I heat it up, I don't heat it up above 76, 77. Fahrenheit, and okay, in the height of the summer, it's warmer just by nature, by the sun, but usually it's relatively cool, so that might contribute to burning calories, right? Because we need to be at 102 or so, which is body temperature. I hope that's correct in Fahrenheit. I grew up in Germany, so for me it's 37 degrees Celsius, which is body temperature, and so the water is only 24, right? So you need to heat the body while swimming there. It might really be that it's more calories that are being burned while swimming, but I stopped now during the winter. I did it in one winter here, but it costs a little bit to heat it all up. It's a small pool though, so I really can heat it up also in the winter. If I heat it up in the winter, it's gonna be like about $20 a day to heat up the pool in gas, like natural gas, and I sometimes do that. But now the warm season is now really starting here. It's gonna go fast here, right? And it's April, and soon it's gonna be really hot, so I won't even have to heat the pool. And I expect to do that again, 30 minutes in my pool each and every day. And out of the 2 years that I've been living here in Vegas, probably I've been doing that for, net like 50% of the time, right? So I love that swimming. We also have a hot tub there. Sometimes I do that in the evenings, like after work. I go into the hot tub outside there under the stars and, looking at my palm trees, which is really nice. But most of the time I take my phone and chat with Brad and chat with some of the companies that we work with and with our market maker, which is located in Singapore. So they have these other time zones and XYZ, right? So always a lot to do. And those are the typical days, mostly working with the devs, developing on my own, contributing to development, figuring out how can I do these context switches, right? Because oftentimes when I do development and we have to really solve problems, I need to focus on that for many hours, but then I have appointments and I need to talk about, with suppliers and with our marketing companies and with our marketing team and XYZ. It is tough to juggle all that. And why am I doing all that? I promised you that in the beginning as your payoff here. I do that because I'm working on something I really want to do. I feel like I have, and the team here has the capacity to actually build a storage layer. It's not many people in the world that can do that. Trust me, it's a really, really hard problem to solve. But it also has that potential, right? It has the potential to be really, really huge. It has the potential to get a really huge market cap at some point in time, because we can reach literally the next billion people here. We can make blockchain accessible to everyone through enabling these apps, these storage-enabled apps, and all real apps need storage, as they do without blockchain. Also on blockchain, every real app needs a lot of storage, and it needs, random access storage, and it needs to overwrite and delete stuff and things like that, and it needs to be integrated into smart contracts. And that is a really, really big and bold vision. So we can touch the lives of billions of people. We can have $1 trillion in market cap as a potential here, right? And there's so many endeavors that don't have that potential, right? That are only in smaller markets and stuff like that. But we have this potential here, which is awesome, which keeps me going and keeps me up at night at some point, and keeps me going through the tough times, right? Keeps me going when the going gets tough, how the song goes, right? And without having that goal, and it's not only the size, like the financial size of it, it's the boldness of the vision to help humanity, each and every individual, to be more self-determined and be less dependent on centralized authorities, right? And all started with Bitcoin, making ourselves independent of centralized authorities with regards to money. And then came Ethereum, being independent of centralized authorities with regards to code. But it's code only. There is no storage attached to that code, right? Integrated into that code. And now with Xandeum, we're building that storage layer. So we have smart contracts plus the storage layer that we need to build all these apps. So with Xandeum, there will be apps that make us, that are independent of centralized authorities, right? And we can, all these Web 2 apps that have their millions, hundreds of millions, some of them billions of users, that are all on Web 2 today, they are not decentralized because they just cannot be decentralized, because the underlying technology isn't there. And we're changing that here, and that's something that I really want to get done. I feel humanity has deserved to get into that new level of being more self-determined for each and every individual, and rather than, having to play by the rules of the Googles and the Facebooks and the X's of this world, right? So doing that is something that really, really keeps me going. The community is keeping me going. So you guys are just awesome. Don't forget to like this video, to subscribe to my channel, and leave me comments here about what do you think about this day? How do my days look? Could I optimize somewhere? How do your days look like? Do you have some other kind of magic bullet for work-life balance, right? I really personally don't like that work-life balance because I only have one life, right? And work is just part of it, right? Work-life balance is like, it almost implies like, oh, work is something that I don't like to do. It's not my life, right? It is your life, right? It's part of your life. And yeah. So yeah, those are my days, and it changes from time to time and different phases of my life. But I shared it with you here. If there's anything you'd like to know, which I haven't covered here, don't feel ashamed to ask me in the comments, and just let me know how you do your days. Where should I look like? Other like idols that you like and want to emulate with doing your days. And Otherwise, thanks so much for watching, guys. Catch you later. Peace.